What is up, guys? It is Robert at Gaming with Me, and a little bit ago I actually did a video on one of literally the worst rated game of all time, which is a Wii U game called 30 Great Games Family Party Obstacle Course. I think that's how the name was. It was a ridiculous name. I definitely recommend checking it out. It was a fun video to make. And one thing I wanted to do was actually take a look at every platform's worst game of all time, according to Metacritic, in terms of the lowest rated. Well, as I did my random choosing, and then I ended up picking out the Xbox Series X. You know, we're still not done with the generation. You know, we have 4 years. We're 4 years into it. So, to be honest, what this game I'm about to talk to you about will probably end up being the least rated, lowest rated game. And it actually is one of the lowest rated games of all time. As you can see right now, I'm on Metacritic.com, and we see a bunch of games from the highest rated games of all time. And it's actually, when we say best games of all time, you could look at every single game of all time. 13,362 games are on this list. These are the highest rated games of all time. We don't care about that. We want to look at the lowest rated games of all time. Now, titles with fewer than 7 critic reviews are excluded, so they want it to be somewhat fair. So, hey, 7 critics review it, then we'll actually allow it to be aggregated. So if we scroll down to 13,361, I don't know why Silent Hill 2, 13,362, the upcoming remake that isn't out yet, is even on that. Makes it look like it's the worst game of all time. Maybe it's a premonition, I don't know. But as we can see here is Family Party, 30 Great Games, Obstacle Arcade, or whatever. And that was 11 on Metacritic. That is the lowest rated game of all time. These are ones that I do want to actually check out and play. And so if we scroll, we kind of got to scroll a little bit for the Xbox Series X game. So we have to go 10 pages earlier to get to our Xbox Series X game, which is the lowest of all time for currently. And I think it's going to stay that way. I mean, there's, obviously there's a chance that a few years down the road you'll get something, but the likelihood scenario, Xbox is going to start a new generation probably in a couple of years from now. But we go to this game with a 38 on Metacritic, so not as low as an 11, but it's pretty low. It is again 10 pages in for the worst games of all time, so it is literally rated. It's on the 547th page of all the highest rated games out of 557. So it's one of the lowest rated games of all time. That is Crossfire X. Crossfire X is a game that I actually have written down on games that I want to play one of these days. It came out 2022. I'm still playing 2021 games. But regardless, came out February 10th, 2022. It was a game that, because it was Microsoft kind of backed, I was like, hey, I want to at least check it out, see what's going on. It was a Series X exclusive, so it was like, okay, what are they doing with this game? Well, as you can tell by the title, this is actually a game you can't even play anymore. Typically with these types of videos, I would like to play the game, and I would actually like to do some funny gameplay or whatever, but this is a case of sad game preservation and understandably closed down servers. The highest rated review for this is a 6.5 out of 10 from Mondo Xbox, so an Xbox website. That's not exactly surprising. But even they couldn't give it a 7 out of 10, a good score. So the highest is an okay score, right? All the way to the lowest, which is a 1 out of 10 from Game Rant. And that is, as low as you can get. So yeah, unfortunately, there is no in-between, if we're being honest. You have a few mixed reviews, 5 of them, but most of them are all negative. And as you can see, once you hit a 4.5 is when you get to, hey, this game's bad. So there's a lot more that are not very good towards this game. And like I said, you can't actually play this game anymore as the multiplayer is shut down, so they just closed the servers down. This game was released on February 10, 2022. It was developed by Smilegate Entertainment. They're a South Korean video game studio, right? I don't know what else they developed. They developed a decent amount of stuff, jeez. They weren't the only developers. Remedy Entertainment developed the single-player campaign for Crossfire X. My mind was like, oh, that's cool. Remedy Entertainment. That's a big reason why I wrote it down. I'm like, all right, I'm going to play this game when I get to it one of these days. You can't play that anymore either. Yeah, this game, I guess, was so bad that they just straight up removed it from existence. They shut down the multiplayer servers. It happens. They shut it down a year after, or about a year. On February 3rd, 2023, Smilegate announced that the game would be shut down on May 18th. So it survived a year and a half. In this era, that's actually pretty decent considering something like Concord just got shut, is about to get shut down in 2 weeks, which is insane. That's a whole nother topic. Remedy Entertainment is a really highly praised studio. I mean, for them to be kind of caught in this crossfire, I guess, without, sorry about being so subliminal, not so subliminal in my pun, but like, think about that. It's actually pretty crazy that, you know, such a big studio that's a very talented, people love to praise them, they created the single player and you can't play it anymore. That sucks. This is just something that I look at and I'm like, damn, it's interesting. I find it interesting, and maybe some people don't really care, but, you know, to have a game to work on it for years, for it to exist, and for it to just be removed from existence is always sad. Multiplayer, I get it, it's bound to happen at some point. The single player, though, like, you know, it's part of Remedy's history. You know, it's about gaming history to me, and it's something that, like I said, I actually wrote down I was going to play, and then I find out only a couple of days ago that it's not even available to purchase anymore, and it hasn't been available to purchase for over a year, and I had no clue about that. This is actually the announced trailer from E3 2019. This is when the game got announced. You know, it's as you can see, it's just kind of a CGI trailer. It doesn't really show much, but, you know, me being me, you know, it was announced at the Xbox E3. I find out it's an exclusive. I'm like, hey man, oh, first the console was Xbox One in 2020. Did that actually come out on Xbox One? I don't know. Apparently it did, which I didn't know that. But regardless, people were pretty excited. If you look at the comments, I mean, look at this. Bro, I haven't played Crossfire in years. When I saw Glowworks, I was like, what? Where are my Crossfire OG players at? Crossfire was my childhood and stopped playing at the age of 8 to 10, I remember. Now I'm 19. Feels old, man. So, in the end of the day, Crossfire X was actually going to be essentially the console version of this PC legend, this legendary PC game. Coming to consoles. A PC legend comes to Xbox. And yeah, this was supposed to be pretty big. You know, I mean, Crossfire, from what I'm looking up, it's a huge PC game. Crossfire came out in 2007 and then it released in following other countries years later. But it was huge, man. Look at that. 1 billion users in 80 countries worldwide. It was the world's top grossing online game as of 2014. And it went on to become one of the highest grossing video games of all time, having grossed $6.8 billion in lifetime revenue as of 2017. So that is pretty big. So to have this game come to consoles with a bigger budget, I guess, you know, new gameplay and everything, new modes, essentially it's a brand new game. So when you think about that, when you think about the legacy of how huge that game was, to see them release this new game for 2020 or 2022, and for it to fail so miserably, what the hell happened? The team partnered with Microsoft to create a console version and entrusted Remedy Entertainment to create a single-player game for the game, single-player campaign for the game. So all we have to see this game, I mean, again, it's unfortunate because I would like to at least play the single-player personally. I know some people are like, well, why do you want to play like shitty games? But at the end of the day, like, I was still interested. I like to see it myself and handle it myself. And apparently, it wasn't a very long game. All we have are footage of the game, which, I mean, to be fair, I mean, it's footage. It, you know, it very much looks like it's trying to be like a Call of Duty sort of campaign. But this is Remedy that made this. You know, unfortunately, I guess you could say it looks painfully generic. You know what I'm saying? But there's not much I know about it. You know, this does look like, if you told me this was a Call of Duty game, this literally, this really does look like a Call of Duty game. It is pretty crazy. But Remedy made this. I find that super interesting. If you look at some of the reviews, you got IGN gave this single player a 3 out of 10. Awful. Crossfire's pair of single player shooter campaigns are sloppy, soulless, and mercifully brief. Jeez. And then for the multiplayer review, I'm sure they probably gave it around the same. I don't know. They gave it a 2! Oh my god, even worse. Painful. Crossfire's multiplayer modes aren't worth the price you'll pay, and it's free to play. Also, it was a free to play game. It sounds like the aiming was atrocious, which is really bad in a first person shooter. You really want the aiming to be good. And for something that came out, yeah, in 2022, I mean, it's pretty weird when you have aiming that is so loose, you could say. And that's something that I've felt in previous first-person shooters, and that's like the difference between a competent one and one that just is like, oh no, this is sloppy. Apparently they launched with a bug that drops you in and out of aim down sights when firing your weapon, and it happens almost constantly. How does that even pass? Like, you're telling me you would aim down sights, as soon as you shoot you go out of aiming down sights? How does it even happen? How does that launch that way? You know, that is okay. You start to read that, you're like, oh wow, that's pretty crazy. I'm looking at the 1 out of 10 from Game Rant, and they talk about that players will find themselves actively struggling against the controls as there is serious learning curve when going from a well-made FPS to this one. At some point, players will actually get used to the weird aiming and find themselves automatically compensating for it, which makes this game more playable but still unremarkable. Apparently there was input lag, bad camera controls, and unresponsive controls. It just sounds like it came out to be a disaster, man, and they just said, fuck it, we're just going to remove the whole thing. But I'm curious as to why they would remove the single-player portion. I really don't understand it. I mean, like, do they think from, like, maybe a brand standpoint that they don't want to say, hey, Crossfire is such a huge thing outside of America, right? Should we even have this up because it makes us look bad if we want to do another attempt later on? I don't know. Then I mean, I really don't know what's the deal with taking off a single player portion. Again, I would have, even with all this bad reviews and all that, I still would have played it and still checked it out myself, because I would like to at least see, I like to feel what's so bad about it, how it feels, how horrible it is. Even though you could kind of understand and really think about it, there's a difference between reading about it, seeing it, and actually playing it for yourself, no matter how you feel or may think how it may feel. The second lowest rated game on Xbox Series X is Balan Wonderworld, and that's a game that I did play, and it is one of the worst games I've ever played in my life. And just describing it just doesn't do it justice. It's something you'd have to play to really understand, and the more deeper you get, the more you're like, wow, what were they thinking with this game? And I think that's like the same with this game. It seems like it's still a damn shame, because at the end of the day, the game preservation person in me wants to have these games still alive in some capacity, and it just doesn't seem like that's even remotely the case. Like, this game is just vaporware. It is gone. It does not exist anymore. There was no PC port, you know, so you can't really play this game, like, download it under some website. It just doesn't exist. Also, different topic, but I guess this one person was talking about, hey, might as well give Crossfire X a shot, because it was half of the campaign was on Game Pass. And then I do see a comment where it says it's only half the campaign, and it says, correct, it's a cliffhanger that ends, that makes you want to play part 2, but Game Pass has spoiled me so bad, I'm not going to pay more than a few dollars if it ever gets that low. What does that say about Game Pass? I'm sorry. That's a very different thing, but it's like, yeah, we see the Xbox sales numbers in terms of games. I think we know that people are spoiled on Game Pass. Yeah, this is a lost game that I know many people will say, good riddance, who the hell cares? But even something like Balan Wonderworld has a place in gaming to me. Something like Mortal Kombat Special Forces has a place in gaming to me. And it's just to show the atrocities that can be made with games, and there's something that is valuable with that, I feel. And so a game by Remedy, an acclaimed studio, making such a soulless product is something that I would love to see and play and feel. But unfortunately, that is no longer the case. And yeah, that is the little thing of Crossfire X. Perhaps one day the South Korean studio will try to break into America again. Maybe not make a partnership with Microsoft and Xbox and just try to release it on everything and see what they could do. I don't know. Not that really changed the game or anything because they partnered with Xbox, but there is kind of a... I feel like there's a little bit of a curse with Xbox games, to be honest with you. But yeah, it's unfortunate. I would have played it. I would have been playing around that little thing and say my own little 2 opinions on it. But in the end of the day, all we could do is read about it, watch some videos on it, and not really feel it anymore. Not really truly feel the atrocity that was Crossfire X. So yeah, guys, next time we do one of these worst on the platform, it's a game we'll actually play and actually take a look at, because a lot of these older consoles, they don't disappear. But yeah, guys, see you guys all next time. Have you ever played Crossfire X? Let me know. How did it feel to you? Describe it. I want to hear the juicy details, please. It's something I can't touch anymore, and it makes me sad. I'm not gonna lose sleep over it, but you know, again, I would have played it. I wrote it down. It was on the games I was gonna play. But it is what it is. See you guys next time. Falling on my damn ass, back until the win stack. Don't get the money, but the shop ain't closing. Lose the fucking name tag, just a few years flat. Looking back, I laugh at the time I was growing. I'm tired of working for companies, lumping me, hungry to fucking work for myself. Luckily, I've been a killer bee, silently writing these rhymes to put on my shelf. Deliver the dopamine, hoping you roll with me. Know that I got so much stories to tell. May not have the image, may not have the